Hello you guys, and thank you so much for clicking on the video. This is part 3 of our series. We are in the process of making our bomber jacket, and we are actually at the point that we are ready to start to sew. Seemed like a long time, but we're here. And this is the last step. We are actually going to sew this bad boy together and then out to the streets to let the folks have it in our garments. Okay, first things first. We're going to grab your front piece. It's your front piece. It's your jacket front. And we're going to install our zipper first. That's what we're actually going to do. We're going to install our separating zipper. So what I want you to do, you need pins, and you actually need your actual zipper, and you need your front pieces. So what we're going to do, one at a time. You're going to leave your zipper together, okay? All right, so what you're going to do, you're going to take your front piece, you're going to place your zipper with the zipper lap down. So you're going to turn it upside down. And you're going to place it 5/8 inches from the actual hemline and 1 inch from the center front. Remember, we added an inch allowance for our zipper in the front when we drafted our pattern. So that's what you're going to be, 1 inch from the center front, 5/8 inches up from the bottom, so we can actually close that. We have to leave allowance so we can close it up. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to take that, and this is what it should look like once it's actually pinned in. See that? That's what it should look like. And it's going to overextend. Your zipper definitely should overextend unless you actually found a zipper that is the exact amount, which that doesn't always happen. But don't worry about it if it overextends. We're going to take care of that later on. Take it to the machine. You're going to use your zipper foot to actually do this, guys. And you are actually going to go ahead in here and you're going to stitch right about 1/8 of an inch away from those teeth. You're going to take your time because you want this to be straight, very straight. If there's nothing else straight, you want your zipper to be straight in your jacket because that's ugly. How many times have I seen a garment where the zipper was off and it just kind of threw the whole thing off for me? And you just take your time and stitch that in and make sure you're keeping your fabric unbunched. You don't want it to bunch underneath and you stitch some things together that have no business being stitched together. That is a nightmare. And especially when you're using specific fabrics such as leather and suede, satin, things of that nature. Those fabrics, once you stitch them, there's no room for mistake. You stitch them, they leave holes, and that is it. And generally, with the price of those fabrics, you don't generally buy extra. You buy what you need, and you keep it moving. So, definitely, if you make a mistake, it's going to cost you money. Everybody does it. Everybody has made mistakes in the past. Trust me, if you had to make a mistake and you had to pay to correct it, that'll help you not make that mistake again. We're going to avoid that today. We're not going to make any mistakes today. You all have been doing really, really good, and we're going to continue on in that vein. Make sure you lock that stitch down when you get to the end. And there we go. We got 1/2 of our zipper in. That's what it should actually be looking like, guys. This is why I told you earlier on, don't worry if your zipper is a little bit off because you're really not going to see very much of it once you got it all in there and it's done. It's done and it's in there correctly. So that's what it should look like. Looks good to me. Let's move on to the next side. You're going to do the exact same thing. Use your measuring tape. Use your measuring tape to bring you 5/8 inches up from the hem, 1 inch back from the center front. That's where your teeth should actually be laying on your zipper, and you go ahead and get that pinned in. Okay, this is what this should actually be looking like once you get that in. And then you want to check yourself. Flip that over. There you go. That's what that should actually be looking like. You want to check that, make sure everything is matching up and laying where it should before you even go to the machine. Everything's good, take it to the machine. Same thing, you want to be 1/4 of an inch just about away from your teeth of your zipper where you're stitching. You want to make sure you're keeping that straight. Keep checking periodically to make sure your fabric is not bunching underneath, because you do not want to make a mistake. Be very careful not to stick yourself with the pins either while you're actually sewing and removing your pins. You don't want to stick yourself with the pins. It doesn't feel good, and you definitely don't want to bleed on your garment before you're even done. So, taking your time, making sure you're paying really good attention, and keeping your eye on the needle. Keeping your eye on the needle will help you not to run into those little situations. Make sure you lock that stitch when you're at the top. And there we have it. We have our zipper in. This is what it should actually look like. Very simple, very easy. Bam, we got our zipper in. Now let's move on to the next step. Okay guys, let's slow down for just 1 second. I want to show you something that I actually decided to do. One thing that you're going to learn about me very quickly is that I love creativity, and I really push for creativity. Yes, we started off this video. Yes, I'm the one who created the original design. Now, do I want you to copy me to the best of your ability? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the whole purpose of the video, is me sharing what I know how to do with all of you. But what I really want from you is I want to see your spin on what I did. So I'm not frowning upon anybody who wants to do it exactly as I've done it, but I would love to see your version of what it is that I presented. So what I did right here, remember we put our front together, we put our zipper in. I decided that I wanted to do these really cool racing stripes on the front of my jacket. So I just went ahead and I didn't even film when I actually put them in, but I just actually put them in. It was best to definitely put them in now, because once I actually connect everything, they'll all be in, and it'll be a lot easier to do that. But I'm open for whatever little cute thing that you come up with. You want to add some studs, or you want to add some rhinestones, anything like that to make it yours. I am totally game for it. You can definitely email me at spillitboy@gmail.com. You can email me if you have questions, if there's something you want to do but you're not really sure. I definitely do answer. So email me, and I'll catch it, and I'll go ahead and answer whatever questions that you actually have. But definitely, let's have fun with this. Be creative. Make it your own. This is not about me. It is a DIY video. It is about you. It is do it yourself for yourself. So definitely be creative if you want to. If you have any questions, don't be shy. Reach out. Trust me, I actually do respond. So definitely, let's do that. Now let's go ahead and let's move on to our next step. We got the front done. Now we need to actually attach the front to the back, and we're going to attach it at the shoulders. Okay? Let's go. We're going to pin it in first. Take your time and get them pinned in. Make sure that your shoulder seams are lining up perfectly. Get your pins in there, and then you will be heading to the machine. All right, that's what it should actually be looking like at this point. Here's your top. That's your back neckline. These are the fronts. You're going to get right in there on the machine, and you're going to stitch right through, starting on the outside and working your way in. Then you'll go to the other side, and you're going to flip it and do the exact same thing. Remember, whatever you do on one side, you generally end up doing right to the other side. So let's go. Right, and you're using a 5/8 inch seam. And most of the machines, most of them, I haven't seen very many machines that actually don't have 5/8 inch marked right on your base of your machine. But those of you who are using batting, take your time, be careful, and don't try to go too fast. You don't want to break a needle unnecessarily. If you're going too fast through fabric that's too thick, you will definitely break a needle, and you don't want to do that. And you want to keep checking and making sure that you're only stitching through what you should be stitching through, and that you're not bunching up any fabric underneath. That's where you see me always keep checking back. And I've been doing this for years, and I still check. I still use pins. Better safe than sorry. And like I said, you want to avoid mistakes at all costs, because some fabrics, once you stitch them, that's the end of it. You can't unstitch it. You can't undo it. So it's best to just take your time and make sure you're doing things the correct way the first time. There's no rush. This is something you're doing. There is no rush. Right, and then we're going to move on to the other side. Make sure you backstitch at the beginnings and the ends of your seams to lock the stitches in. You can't have you out there and your jackets start coming apart. That would not be good. Not good at all. All right, those of you with batting, I personally am going in and trimming the batting, because you could actually get away without doing it, but I'm going in and trimming that batting away down to probably about 1/8 of an inch from the actual seam. I want my seams to lay a little flatter, so I'm taking that bulk away. I think it's a good suggestion. Okay, and once we have that in there, you're going to go and press your seams. You want to go in and iron and press your seams flat. And then we're going to move on to actually adding the sleeve. This is going to be a very easy sleeve. We're going to add the sleeve while it's actually flat. And you won't always be able to do that on every garment. Every garment won't allow you to actually do that. You'll have to actually sew your sleeve in when it's in a circumference. But on this one, it's easy. So we're going to be able to do it as it's flat. So let's get to it. We're going to move on. We're going to press, and then we're going to move on to our sleeves. Okay, guys, so now we're moving on to our sleeves. We're going to fold your sleeve in half, and you're going to definitely mark where the middle of your sleeve is, and that's where you're going to actually pin that right to the shoulder seam. That's going to go right in the shoulder seam, and then you're going to just pin one direction and pin the other direction and get your sleeve in. It's going to be very, very simple. You're going to turn them right sides together, and then you're going to go ahead and get to pinning. Those of you with the batting, take your time. Take your time. I know it's a lot of fabric to be maneuvering around, but you're going to be fine. Just take your time. And it's actually easy. It's easier if you pin your middle, then your ends, and then work the middle. That's the easiest way. This is probably one of the easiest sleeves that you're ever going to do. Trust me. Sleeves and armholes are the dickens at times, especially when it comes to jackets and more tailored garments, or just garments that have a more precise fit. Oh my goodness. Sleeves were my thing. You get it after a while, but it's a little bit of a little tiff between you and the fabric and getting things exactly where you need them to be. But you get good at it after a while. All right, move on to the other sleeve. Get that pinned in. You might as well pin both in and then go to the machine after you get them both pinned in. When you have it all, when you have your shoulder all pinned in and your sleeve is all pinned in, let's head to the machine and go ahead and get our sleeves attached. All right, we're going to be stitching through all layers of the fabric. Take your time, take your time, take your time. I can't stress it enough. Take your time. Especially you guys who have actually chose to use the batting, you want to take your time with this stitch. And make sure, again, as usual, make sure that you are not stitching through things that you should not be stitching through. Make sure you keep straightening it out. Take your time and keep straightening it out. Don't be afraid of the machine. The machine is there for you. You're not there for the machine. You guys are making such good time doing this jacket. You should be moving along real groovy at this point. For those of you who are really beginner sewers, this is going to be a huge boost to your confidence, I'm telling you, because it's going to be a really cool jacket. You may even run into some folks that don't even believe that you actually did it yourself. That's when you get to laugh to yourself. That's the payoff. And that's what the stitch should look like when you've gone all the way through it. That's what it should look like. Here's your shoulder seam. And there's where you put your sleeve in. Okay, now what I'm actually going to do, since there is so much thickness here, I'm going to actually reinforce my seam. We did a 5/8 inch seam on our armhole. I'm going to actually go back in mine, and I'm actually going to go 1/8 inch out, and I'm going to do a 1/4 inch reinforcement seam, right? So I'm like literally about 1/8 of an inch away from where I was. If you want to use the markers on your machine, there's a marking for 1/2 inch. That's the one you want to follow. And just reinforce your seam. And it's probably a good idea for all of you guys who have used a heavier fabric. Just reinforce the seam. It's not going to hurt you. It takes 5-10 minutes to do. You don't even have to put the pins back in. You're just going to reinforce that seam. I think it's a good idea. Because that's where you get a lot of, that's where your arm, you do a lot of movement in your arm. So you definitely want to reinforce that. And you can just literally follow what you've already done. Like I said, you don't even have to put the pins back in. You can actually see it. You can see where you stitch. And you're following, you're going to be about 1/8 of an inch right away from just making your jacket tougher, that's all. right, you guys, you sewn your sleeve on to your jacket, and that is basically what it should be looking like. And you see I've actually added another little sporting stripe to mine in the shoulder seam. But yeah, that's what your sleeve should be looking like. It is really coming together. It's coming together, guys. Now, same thing, other side. Okay, you guys, I know for a fact that my coat is actually going to keep me very, very warm, because I am very warm right now dealing with this fur. It's hot. So, we are we're doing really, really well here. Next thing we're going to do, because you have your sleeve sewn in, the next thing you're going to do, we're going to actually sew down the sleeve and down the side seam, and then it's going to literally start to look like a jacket. Okay, so what we're going to do, you're going to flip everything inside out. You're going to match armhole, front armhole. Get rid of your loose thread. Front armhole to back armhole. All the way down, pin. All the way down to the hemline, pin. It's a lot of fabric. Take your time and get that pin. Okay. That is what it will look like when you get it all pinned in. Now go ahead and do the other side. Do both sides, pin both sides before you go to the machine. Get them both pinned in, then you'll go ahead and stitch and you'll be done. Your jacket will be completely together, all except for your hood. And then we're going to do the hood. Okay, same thing. 5/8 inch seam allowance. Stitch through all of the fabric. Same basic rules we've been following. Stitch through these things only. Keep on turning and making sure, flipping it up, not turning it, flipping it up, making sure that you are not stitching through anything other than what you should be stitching. Make sure that you keep the rest of the jacket on this side. I know it's getting a bit cumbersome, especially for you all who are actually doing the batting. So just make sure that you keep it straight underneath so that you're only sewing through what it is that you should be sewing through. I just keep saying it, but I know you guys have already got it because you guys are awesome. So I know you got it. And I'll just keep repeating it. Okay, now you want to make sure that you go pretty slowly when you get towards the armhole, because it's going to get, the thickness is really serious. It's real there when you go through these seams that you've created. So you want to take your time and go slow. Just take your time. Take your time. And if you get to where you look like you're getting a little resistance, you can do what we call walking the machine. You just walk it through. That's what you're only given. When you hear me say walk your machine through, you're doing a little bit of push on the pedal and you're actually turning the wheel by hand. That's what I mean when I say walking it through. And when you get to really thick seams, I generally do walk my machine through. It definitely assists you in not breaking needles. Needles cost money. Changing the needle takes time. What did we say about money and time? Exactly. So take the machine for a little bit of a walk when you get to the thicker seams. We are almost there, guys. Can you believe we are literally 3/4 of the way finished with your bomber jacket? It won't be long now. Okay, and as you'll see me doing this pulling. That's me actually moving the batting. The batting gets a little cumbersome at times, and you have to make sure that it's not wrapping around your pressure foot. So that's what you'll see me readjusting the batting, that's all. Don't be intimidated. It looks worse than what it is. And that's what that seam should actually look like. Nice and smooth, nice and clean. I'm actually going to go back and reinforce 1/8 of an inch away, just like I did before. At the 1/2 inch mark, I'm going to go ahead and do another stitch just to reinforce my side seams. Okay, once you've actually finished sewing up your side seams, reinforcing them, go ahead and turn your jacket onto its right side, and there you go. It's actually starting to look like, well, it's not just looking like, it is a jacket now. It's an actual jacket, pretty cool jacket. And you see that you are just about done. All we have to do is attach our hood, put our lining in, and put our elastic in, and we're off. We're ready to go out and go party or whatever it is that we're going to do to show off our new jacket. So let's go ahead and get our hood together, and then we're going to attach it. Okay, so now we're getting ready to move on to the hood. We're going to take our 2 hood pieces, and you're going to put them facing each other. Right sides facing each other, batting on. We're going to take and stitch that whole seam. There's the seam that's in the back that is curved. We're going to stitch that whole curve in. Just stitch that curve in. I'm actually cutting some of the batting back. For those of you who are using batting, cut some of the batting back. Cut back about an inch back to give yourself some room to work, so it'll be a lot easier when you're joining your lining. You'll see in a second when we get to the lining. But you're going to cut back some of your batting. Get rid of some of that thickness in there. Now, we're going to go ahead and just go ahead and pin this all up so you can get ready to go ahead and sew. All right, and that's what it should look like. Take it to the machine and get stitching. Okay. Once you've gotten your hood sewn together, you're going to go ahead and you're going to pin your hood. You're going to start with that center seam on your hood. Go to the center back. Match them up, pin it all the way around. Okay, guys, once you get this all pinned in, this is actually what it should look like. This is where we're going to actually end up losing these tabs that are hanging over from the zipper. So just pay close attention. Now you're going to take this to the machine and stitch all the way around the neckline. We're getting our hood attached. Be very careful when you're going to stitch through the zipper lap. Again, you don't want to break any needles. 5/8 of an inch seam, guys. Walk your sewing machine over the zipper. Make sure you're checking, especially here, that it's not bunching up underneath. Keep straightening it out, taking your time, and going around that neckline. I would definitely say if there's no other seam that you reinforce in this whole jacket, your hood, reinforce your hood. People have a really bad habit of tugging on people's hoods for some reason. So I always reinforce when it comes to a hood. I always reinforce on that seam. I don't know why people have that. It's a real bad pet peeve of mine. Like, why are you tugging on the hood of my jacket or my sweatshirt or my shirt? But people have a tendency to do that. They think it's cute to get your attention, to tug on your hood. I have no idea what makes them do that, but reinforce that seam. Okay, guys. Now, once your hood's on, this is what you should actually be looking at. Sides, these are your shoulder seams, center back. Your hood is on. Very neat, very clean finish. That's what you should be looking at. All right? Now, what I need you to do now, because your jacket is done. You finished putting your jacket together. Your jacket is together. And I'm very, very proud of you guys. Congratulations. You are really doing well. Last thing is to create the lining and to actually line the jacket. Put the lining and the jacket together. We'll put our elastic strips in and we are ready to hit it and go out and party. Now, the thing is, all I need you to do for your lining, gather all of your pieces of your lining together and do exactly what you did here with putting your jacket together. Do it again with the lining pieces. Definitely you have this video as a reference. If you are confused or if you can't remember exactly what you've done with the jacket, just feel free to run the video back and watch and do exactly the same thing with the exact same pieces of your lining, and then your lining will be together, and then come back to your jacket, and then I'm going to show you how to put your lining and your jacket together. All right, I'll see you in a minute.